Hello and welcome to the garden of Eat Like a French Family, because today I had decided was the day I was going to speak to you before the recipe. And of course today is also the day our brand new neighbors have decided to start refurbishing their house, and it's beach bash boom all over the house, so we're not in the kitchen. I have made mousse au chocolat. Not quite the usual thing, because normally I make a point of using ingredients that we can find at any local supermarket. But for mousse au chocolat, we love it with the Nestlé chocolat. It is so famous to make mousse au chocolat that the recipe is even on the packet itself. I have checked though that blacks and greens has similar ingredients and would work as well, as long as there isn't too many other ingredients in your dark chocolate. You will be alright. The magic in this recipe: 2 ingredients, 200 grams of dark chocolate, cooking chocolate, and 6 eggs, and that's it. Let's go. Beautiful, really rich mousse au chocolat. It starts with good quality baking chocolate. This Nestlé Noir is the most famous one in France to make mousse au chocolat, so much so that the mousse au chocolat recipe is on the back of the tablet, so you can always find the recipe. I've been to the local supermarket in England, and the only difference I can see with quality baking chocolate is that lecithin of sunflower in the French one, and it's soya in the English one. I don't know if it will make a difference. Interesting little box here saying that if the date is past, look at it, smell it, taste it, and use it anyway. Good quality bar of black chocolate and 6 eggs, that's all we need. This chocolate is really made for bakers. There's even recipes on the inside. You often find those wrappers in French cooking books in our houses, because we keep them for another day, obviously. It also tells you how to melt it in the bain-marie or the microwave. We're going for microwave, so I'm breaking it in my Pyrex bowl. Break it in the bowl, it makes a lot of crumbs and they end up everywhere. Before that, we're going to deal with the eggs. We're going to separate the yolks from the whites, like so, whichever way you prefer. And in a second, we're going to beat the whites so they become really stiff. So I add a little bit of salt to help with that. And then I'm going to beat them with my machine. You can do it by hand if you're strong enough. I am definitely not strong enough. And a minute later, you have beautiful en neige, snow eggs. To melt the chocolate, I add a little bit of water and it goes in the microwave for 1 minute. Just 1 minute. Don't wait until they have completely dissolved. When it comes out, put something on the top so it doesn't slip around. But you see, the cubes are still there, and we've got to give it a really good energetic beating. And there is our melted chocolate. Ready to carry on with the recipe. Check that it's cooling down, because we're going to add the eggs in a minute. Beat it a little bit more. Check the bottom of the bowl, it's still quite hot there, so I beat it a little bit, because if we add the eggs now, they're going to cook. Once it's cool enough, well, it's still warm but not hot, we can add the yellows only, the yolks only, give them a good beating. We end up with this beautifully shiny chocolatey paste, and we're ready to add the whites. So they've been beaten, so we're going to put half of the whites in for the first go, and we're going to mix it with the whisk. But we don't want to stir, because that would really break all those beautiful bubbles that are going to create our mousse. Instead, we're going to really avoid turning around and pushing the chocolate in the mousse and the mousse in the chocolate. When you come to this stage, you are now ready to add the second half in 3/3. So we're going to do it a lot slower, and this time we're going to fold the chocolate around the eggs to try and keep as much of those bubbles in. So in 3 times, there's the second lot. I'm cutting it through so the chocolate goes between the little pieces, and I fold the chocolate over. I don't stir, and that will keep all those bubbles, and that will give us our beautiful mousse at the end. So this is 2/3 in. We're going to add the last third. You see how the bottom has accumulated the stronger chocolate, you can see. So there's our third, and we're going to carry on being very delicate with it until we can see that it's almost fully mixed. How are we going to serve it? My mom would just clear up the big salad bowl and put it in the fridge. And for dessert, we would get a big spoonful each in a plate. You can put it in ramekins, you can put it in pretty little dishes. I like it in shot glasses as well. I've got tiny little spoons and I think it's quite pretty. Today we're going for ramekins to start with. It's going to be enough to fill all those little dishes anyway. You see how the bubbles have now covered with chocolate, but they're still there. We want to keep them, and now we're going to put it in the fridge for 3 hours, and it's going to set those bubbles. They're not going to pop anymore. So here I fill up my pretty little dishes. I would use them at a dinner party, and what I would do is it's such a rich chocolate mousse that you don't really need a lot if you've had a big meal already. So those tiny little dishes, I serve this and a little piece of cake and maybe a piece of fruit with it on the plate. A little bit, like the restaurant when you have your trio of dessert. And in the shot glasses, I think that will be for us as a dessert tomorrow night. We're going to have a lot of mousse au chocolat. Maybe I will deliver a couple of those to the neighbors for their dessert. There we are. You see all the bubbles. You can really understand what the mousse comes from. And here is everything I got out of my 6 eggs. There we are, 3 hours later. I like adding a couple of raspberries. It's sharp against the sweetness and the richness and the smooth mousse au chocolat. It's absolutely delicious. If you've liked the recipe, please subscribe to our channel. Bon appétit les amis! À bientôt!